to another episode of Classic Dallas Cowboys Talk. I am Sean Farrell. God is great all the time. All the time, God is great. Jesus Christ died and he rose again. Let's get into it, shall we? So, many people remember the Herschel Walker trade. But he was traded to the Vikings, but what many people don't know is that he was nearly traded to the Cleveland Browns. He was almost traded to the Cleveland Browns, okay? The Cowboys were 0-5, right? And Johnson decided that to get the thing turned around a lot more quicker, they were going to put Herschel Walker out there. And they had briefly flirted with the notion of trading Michael Irvin. They flirted with trading Michael Irvin, but Al Davis called Jimmy Johnson and said, "Do you really want to do that? Who is going to catch passes for you?" And so Jimmy Johnson opted against it. And so there were some teams interested in Walker, like the Giants. The Falcons were interested, but the Cleveland Browns gave the Cowboys a really good deal. Jimmy Johnson, he called it. He said the Browns offered them a player, a couple of future first-round draft picks. They also offered the Cowboys a number 3 and a couple of number 2s. So, let me restart that. Jimmy Johnson says they offered them a player, a couple of future number 1s, a number 3, and some future number 2s. And they plan to finalize the deal soon. And Jimmy Johnson said the deal looked good, right? Okay. So, that mask was sort of hindering my breathing. Just a wee bit, okay? They were looking for the Browns to sweeten the pot, okay? So they didn't complete the deal with the Browns right away. They were looking to get some other teams interested, but really they were just trying to get the Browns to sweeten the deal, okay? Enter the Minnesota Vikings and Mike Lynn, the GM, right? Okay. Yeah. Here come the Minnesota Vikings, who offered a much better deal than what the Cleveland Browns were offering, right? So Jimmy Johnson said, hey, you got to get back to me by 6:30 or we're going to do the deal with the Browns, okay? So Johnson got back to his desk after practice, and there was a fax waiting for him, and it was from Mike Lynn, okay? And so then they negotiated for the next couple of hours, right? And the Minnesota Vikings gave Johnson a deal that he could not turn down, right? And also the Vikings were very concerned that the Cowboys would do the deal with the Browns, right? And so it was said that Mike Lynn had visions of a Super Bowl, right? but they didn't want the Cleveland Browns to get their hands on Herschel Walker, right? So by the time the Cowboys and Vikings had agreed to the deal, the Vikings had sent Herschel Walker. I mean, the Vikings. The Cowboys had sent the Vikings Walker, a third and a 10th round pick in 1990, and a third round pick in 1991, while the Cowboys got Jesse Solomon, David Howard, Alex Stewart, Darren Nelson, Isaac Holt, and the Vikings' first, second, and sixth rounders in 1990. Then additional picks, first and second rounders in 1991, first and second and third round picks in 1992. Okay, so that was the agreed upon deal, and but of course they had to run it by Herschel Walker, and Walker could blow up the deal by not reporting. Okay, but they convinced Herschel Walker, the Harry Jones and his agent and Herschel Walker's agent. They worked with Herschel. But if any of these players were not on the roster by February 1st, 1990, Dallas would get those picks. Okay. So a couple of those players, ironically, were still on the roster February 1st, 1990. Jesse Solomon, David Howard, and Isaac Holt. Okay. Alex Stewart, however, Jimmy Johnson recalls he was lazy. So he ended up cutting Alex Stewart right away. Darren Nelson, a couple of days into his first practice with the Dallas Cowboys, he asked for a trade, and he was traded to San Diego. Okay, so but by 1991, Jesse Solomon was in Tampa Bay, and David Howard was somewhere else. Okay, and so Isaac Holt, the only member of that to survive the Great Train Robbery of 1989 and win the Super Bowl ring. Okay. So I mentioned that I made a video that Emmitt Smith was not the Cowboys plan. Okay. Dallas wanted defense. That's what they needed. Okay. They were looking for defense in the draft, and they wanted guys like James Francis, Lamar Lathon, Ray Agnew, right? But all of those players were taken. James Francis was taken by Cincinnati. Lamar Lathon was taken by Houston. Ray Agnew was taken by the New England Patriots. And Dallas could not, do any trades to select those defensive players that they wanted. So Emmitt Smith came up on their radar. And Joe Brodsky was someone who really liked Emmitt Smith, but NFL scouts didn't like Emmitt Smith. They weren't in love with his 40 time, for one. Not only that, they said he was too small, okay? And the Cowboys had him clocked at 4.48, right, in the 40-yard dash. And the Giants, the New York Giants had him clocked him at 4.70, okay? So as a result, who did the Giants take in the draft? Rodney Hampton. And so Dallas originally wanted Francis, Lathon, or Agnew. They all went to different teams, so Dallas selected Emmitt Smith, who Joe he liked, and it worked out pretty well for this franchise. By the way, um, there was a guy by the name of Terrence Flagler. Okay, do y'all remember Terrence Flagler? Okay, so they sent a second. So the Cowboys sent a second rounder to the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys sent a second rounder to San Francisco for Daniel Stubbs, and along with Daniel Stubbs came Terrence Flagler. Okay, he was a first round draft pick of the 49ers in 1987, but he was in, but he was behind Roger Craig the whole time. Okay, so he rarely played in 87, 88, and 89. So he comes over to the Cowboys with Daniel Stubbs. He didn't even make it out of the exhibition season because he was traded to the Arizona Cardinals for Rob Awalt. Okay, so he didn't even make it out of pre-season. Never suited up for the Cowboys, and again he was traded for Rob Awalt, and he was out of the league by 1991. So yeah. So what if the Cowboys had taken James Francis or Lamar Lathon or Ray Agnew? History would have been a lot more different for the Dallas Cowboys. All right. All right. That's it. And that's all for Classic Dallas Cowboys Talk. I am Sean Farrell. I am out of here. May God bless you all. Many blessings to you all. Peace.